When people say Monster Hunter got easier, I think a lot of people hear that and assume we mean the monsters got softer. But I don't think that's really the case. The monsters didn't actually get weaker. The hunts just got less involved. We do less for a hunt now. It's more about fighting the monster than actually hunting the monster, you know? And that might sound crazy at first because the monsters in Wilds, again, are not weak. Some of them will absolutely check you, have you bodied, especially if you're not paying attention. So I'm not saying the combat got worse, and I'm not saying these monsters still can't be very hard. What I'm saying is that the overall process for the hunt actually asks less of you as the player. And one of the cleanest examples of that is tracking. So back in the day, you needed paintballs. If a monster wasn't paintballed and it took off, there was a very real chance that you weren't going to find that monster again. Especially not in time to finish the quest. You could have the monster limping, damn near dead and just ready to go, and fail the quest because you lost track of them. That was part of that challenge. It's what made it so, I think, fun. Now when a monster runs, you're already tracking it. You don't really have to manage that part of the hunt anymore. You hit up on your D-pad and your little secret mount thing takes you right to where you need to go. And you're back in action. And that is convenient. I even enjoy it. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it does mean the game is asking less from you. And when it comes to actually hunting the monsters down, it is requiring less knowledge of the world. And that's just one example. Preparation mattered way back then too. Once you left for a hunt, whatever you had on you is what you had. You couldn't just run back and fix your mistakes whenever you wanted. If you forgot items, you didn't eat before the hunt, if you came in half prepared, and you're gonna feel that. It's gonna F you up. And we used to use PSPs, that ad hoc. You only had a certain amount of time with your friends to get some of this stuff done. It grew frustrating fast. And if you were like that guy who always missed his pick, that was a person, So one person could be unprepared, could throw the whole hunt off. So preparation wasn't just some extra little ritual back then. It was part of the skill check. The game was asking more from you before you even saw the monster. And I remember one hunt in particular. And that really drove home for me, what's going on here now. We were hunting this huge radicals. I forget which one it was, Freedom Unite or something. And this dude was not going down. We had plenty of time left, but we were running low on supplies, right? So you can't go back to your health box. So you had to use the knowledge of what combined with what and how to get these out of that to actually keep us going in that fight. We ran out of health, so one of us would break off and start getting some potions. They would get blue mushrooms and herbs, right, and find some honey, and then come back with some mega potions. And another person would stock off to do the same thing. And it was hot, We actually won that fight, by the way. So, but that knowledge. So what we had to actually do was use our knowledge of the world in order for us to beat that fight. And to me, that's part of what made old Monster Hunter so good. It wasn't just about whether you could beat the monster. It was about whether you knew how to survive the hunt when things stopped going your way, and they often did. Now, with all that being said, I'm not trying to act like World and Wilds are worse games because of it. They're not. In a lot of ways, they almost feel like different games. And I love them for what they are. World was revolutionary for this series, and Wilds feels like the natural next step for those ideas. Even Rise to me feels like an interesting middle ground between old Monster Hunter and newer Monster Hunter, and it favors that playback style loop. Smoother and way more immediate. I could jump right in and get to the monsters quicker and focus more on the actual fight. And with how much they've improved movements, the weapons options, the flow of combat and part of the Monster Hunter, it feels better than ever has. So I don't want to talk like I'm taking a crap on Hunter, World, or Wilds. So that got me thinking, maybe the answer isn't changing the whole game back to what it was. Maybe the answer is giving us a mode. I call it veteran mode, Don't change Monster Hunter Wilds for everybody. It's a good game, leave it the way it is. Just add some restrictions that make the hunt feel a little bit more like a hunt again. Like, if for example, like no automatic monster tracking. Let me find tracks like in World, but make me actually work for it. And once I find the monster, make me have to paintball it. Paintball should matter. If it leaves, I lose track of it. The end. And I'll have to refine those tracks to find its new location unless I have it paintball. It gives a certain amount of anticipation to that hunt. No access to camp boxes. I think this is the biggest one, is you cannot resupply. Once the quest starts, you cannot resupply, unless you quit the quest. What you bring is what you bring, and whatever it is going to be, and then you get dropped off in random locations. So you don't get immediate access to the supply box that we originally start off with. And that's just regular stuff, and I think that'll be a big change in the game, especially in how we move forward, right? And that alone will bring back a lot back of what we actually missed. And if they wanted to go even farther with like real hardcore players, you could bring back old potion animations, as when you did a little fist pump when you did your potions, or make whetstones limited again, or even bring back combo books, just to like spice it up, But the core of it is simple: make me prepare, make me track, and make me live with my mistakes. Make me have a knowledge of this world. It's a big, beautiful world, and I know, like most of us, we're ignoring most of it just to go and murk a monster. And that's where I'm at with it. I've been playing Monster Hunter since I was 16. I've seen this series change a lot, and I still love it. So what do y'all think? Would y'all want a veteran mode that makes hunts more involved again, or do you prefer the Monster Hunter the way it is now, where the focus is more on the fight rather than the hunt itself? All right, well, that's it. Thank you. Peace.